Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So move on to the next chapter of our curriculum, which is verb sentence, present slash future tense. Like I mentioned before, that in Arabic, the present and future tense are connected, they're one and the same. So this is known as fi'l mudari. So the same rules apply to present future tense like it does to past tense. Every fi'l has a pronoun inside it, and the fi'l changes form depending on the pronoun inside it. So this is the example table for yaf'alu, which means he is doing something. So he is doing something because it's present tense. Whereas the fa'ala, that was discussed in the last chapter, means he done something in the past tense. So we're talking about present tense, so it's he is doing something. And it's yaf'alu. So if we look at this table, similar to the table discussed in the last chapter about the past tense, the only addition here, if we take a look here in the second or third row, that we've indicated the start and end letters. So if we go through it, again the independent pronouns are mentioned. So huwa, huma, hum, and it goes on to the end. So the singular masculine, which is huwa, that form is what we say yaf'alu, which means he is doing. And then if we look underneath that, you can see that from the original fa'ala, which is the past tense, we've added a ya at the start, and at the end, the last letter, which is the third root letter. So if you remember from last time, the three root letters is the fa, the ain, and the lam. So the first root letter is the fa, the second root letter is the ain, and the third root letter is the lam. And anything else that you see is just extra letters that have been added. For example, in this case, the ya is an extra letter which has been added, and it's not a root letter. The original three root letters is fa, the ain, and the lam. So the huwa version is yaf'alu. So if you see where the row that says start and end letter, so at the start you've added a ya, and at the end the lam has taken a dhamma. And in the huma version, which is the dual, which means both of them are doing, then it becomes yaf'alani. And again, if you look at the start and end letter, so we've added a ya at the start and a alif with a noon at the end, which is ani. So yaf'alani. And then the hum version is yaf'aluna. So we've added the ya at the start and the wa and the noon at the end. So the fa'ala is still there, but we've added a ya at the start and the wa and noon at the end to make yaf'aluna. So for the hiya version, which means she is doing, because it's present tense, she is doing, it's taf'alu. So meaning we've added a ta at the start, and the third root letter lam takes a dhamma, and then the humma is taf'alani. So that's ta at the start has been added, and the alif and the noon has been added at the end. And the hunna version, which means they, meaning all of those women, they are doing, it's yaf'alna. So we've added a ya at the start and a noon at the end. And then the anta version, which means masculine, it means you are doing, it's taf'alu. One thing you notice, the hiya and the anta are identical. They both taf'alu. So hiya is taf'alu and anta is taf'alu. In order to differentiate which one it is, we have to look at context and the meaning of a sentence. Then we can figure out if the taf'alu is referring to hiya, which means she is doing, or is it referring to anta, meaning you, man, are doing. So when we look at a sentence, the context of the sentence, the meaning of the sentence, and we can figure out which one it is. So the anta again is taf'alu, same as the hiya, which means, but in this case, because it's anta version, it means you are doing, which is a man. And then you have antuma, which is taf'alani, which again is the same as the huma version, which means you too are doing. But again, context is looked at in order to determine which one it is. And then antum is taf'aluna. So a ta is added at the start and a wa and a noon is added at the end. So if you go to anti, which means you feminine, you woman are doing, then it becomes taf'alina. So a ta is added at the start and a ya, yina, which is a yi, a ya with a noon is added at the end. So it's ta yina. So the ta is at the start, which makes a ta sound, and the yina is added at the end to make a yina sound. So it's taf'alina. And then the antuma is the same as feminine, is the same for the masculine. So it's taf'alani. So ta is added at the start, and the alif and the noon is added at the end. And for antunna is taf'alna, which means all of you women are doing. So a ta is added at the start and the noon is at the end. And the ana version, all we do is it becomes af'alu. So you add a hamza, a alif hamza at the start, and the third root letter takes a dhamma, so it becomes af'alu. So if you remember, the huwa version is yaf'alu. So instead of the ya, there's a hamza at the start instead to make af'alu. And then for the nahnu, which means we are doing version, it's naf'alu. So there's a noon at the start, and the third root letter, the lam, gets a dhamma, so it becomes naf'alu. So it's similar to I am doing af'alu. So instead of the hamza, it's a noon to make naf'alu, we are doing. So just some notes here that the present tense fi'l, so present / future tense fi'ls, always begin with 4 letters, and you can remember it with the word aytan. So a is the alif hamza, ya is the ya, and the aytn, aytan, ta and the noon. So it always begins with 4 letters. So it's either the alif hamza, the ya, the ta, or the noon. These letters take either a fatha or a dhamma. Whichever it takes, it remains on it throughout the chart. So meaning, if you see a dhamma on the hamza, then you'll always see a dhamma on it at the throughout. Or if you see a fatha on it, then the fatha would continue throughout the chart. The hiya, which I mentioned before, the hiya and the anta. So hiya means the she, and anta means you, masculine. They look the same, and then you have to look at context and meaning to determine which one it is. So we can use like I said, if you review this chart, try to memorize it, because this is the template that you need so you can use any 3 letters. You can replace fa, which is the first root letter, the ain, which is the second root letter, and the lam, which is the third root letter. You can replace these 3 letters with any other 3 letters and put it through this template, and it will work. And that's what we've done below. So we've given an example below. So we've replaced the fa with the dha, we replaced the ain with a ba, and we replaced the lam, the third root letter, with a ha. So it's zabaha, which is the past tense, and because this is present tense, it is yazbahu. Okay, so the first root letter is dha, and the second root letter is ba, and the third root letter is ha. So we just replace the 3 the fa, the ain, and the lam with these 3, the za, the zal, and the ba, and the ha, and then we're going to put it through the same template, and this means he sacrifices. So huwa version is yazbahu, which means he sacrifices. And the second, if you remember, you add a ya, and the end you add alif with a noon, so it's yazbahani. And then for the hum version, it's a ya at the start, and you add a wa and a noon at the end, yazbahuna, just like yaf'aluna. And then the hiya version, if you remember, it was taf'alu, so here it will be tazbahu, so she sacrifices. There it was taf'alani, the huma version, here is tazbahani, so both of them are doing. And the hunna version is yazbatna, just like the other one was taf'alna, yaf'alna, sorry. So that was yaf'alna, this is yazbatna. So women are sacrificing. So the anta version is identical to the hiya version, tazbahu, which means you are sacrificing, meaning man. And then the antuma is tazbahani, which is you too are sacrificing, and which is the same as the huma. So tazbahani, both of them are the same, but again we look at context to figure out which tazbahani it is. So is it referring to both of them women, or you two men? And even you two women is tazbahani as well. So all 3 are the same. So antum version is tazbahuna, so all of you are sacrificing. So we add the ta at the start, the wa and the noon at the end. With anti, if you remember, you add a ta at the start and the yina at the end. So it's tasba hina. So the ya and the noon is added at the end and the ta at the start. So last time it was taf alina. This time it's tasba hina. So antum is tasbahani. Last time it was taf alani. Antunna is tasba'na. So you add a ta at the start and a noon at the end. Just like that was taf alna, which means all of you women are sacrificing. We use the word are sacrificing because it's present tense. All of you are sacrificing, meaning right now. So ana is, remember, all you do is put a alif hamza at the start, and the third root letter gets the dhamma. So it's azbahu, which means I am sacrificing. And the nahnu is nazbahu. So we add a noon at the start, and the third root letter, the ha, gets a dhamma. So it's nazbahu. And last time it was naf'alu. So we are sacrificing. So forms of present and future tense. So unlike past tense, certain words before the present/future tense can change its form. So if we have certain words before the present tense, it can change its form. So it looks different. And for the second, and obviously the meaning still stays the same. So it still means he is doing. The meaning doesn't change. It's just the way it looks. So yaf'alani is the normal version. And then because it's an ending combination, the ending combination is the alif and the noon have been added to it. So therefore all we do is take away the noon. So it becomes yaf'ala. And for yaf'aluna, again, there's an ending combination with wa and noon. So we get rid of the noon. So it just becomes yaf'alu. That's the light version. And then the hiya, if you remember, is taf'alu. And then the light version, because there's no ending combination with the noon, then all we do is change the last letter dhamma to a fatha. So it becomes taf'ala. So that's the light version. And taf'alani, again, there's an ending combination with the noon. It's the alif noon, so we get rid of the noon to make it light. So it'll be taf'ala. And yaf'alna is the hunna version. And remember the rule that hunna and antunna are unaffected. So they remain the same. So the normal version is yaf'alna and the light version is still yaf'alna. It's unaffected. And so anta, again, is taf'alu, which is the same as hiya if you remember. And the light version, because it's not an ending combination, we just change the dhamma into a fatha, so it becomes taf'ala. And the antuma version is taf'alani. Again, it has an ending combination with the noon, the alif and the noon. So the light version will be taf'ala. And then the antum version is taf'aluna. So we see an ending combination with a wa and a noon. So those two letters have been added to the original three root letters, fa'ala. Wa and the noon have been added, and because it's an ending combination with a noon, we get rid of the noon to make it light, so it becomes taf'alu. And then the anti is taf'alina, the original normal version, and again it's an ending combination with a ya and a noon, so we drop the noon to make it light, so it becomes taf'ali. And taf'alani, again, ending combination alif and noon, has been added to the original three letters fa'ala. Then the light version will be drop the noon, so it's taf'ala. And then the antunna version is taf'alna. But remember, the hunna and the antunna version are unaffected, so they remain the same. So even in normal version it's taf'alna, and in light version it's still taf'alna. And then ana is af'alu. And then because there's no ending combination, all we need to do is change the last letter, the harakat, from a dhamma to a fatha, so it becomes af'ala. And the nahnu, again, is naf'alu. There's no ending combination, so it's just the last dhamma, last letter, the harakat, the dhamma changes to a fatha, so it becomes naf'ala in the light version. And just some examples here. So we have yuridu an yadribaha. Yadribahu, sorry. So yuridu an yadribahu, which means he intends to hit him. So yadriba is actually the present tense in the light form, because you can see there's a fatha at the end. The normal present tense form is actually yadribu. is yadribu. So the original three letters, the three root letters, is the dad, the ra, and the ba, which be daraba, and the huwa version in the present tense is yadribu, which is the normal version. But if we wanted to make that light, and you can see that the word an in the example is one of the light words, so it makes a present tense light. So therefore yadribu becomes yadriba. And here you got li tunzira qawman, so that you warn a people. So li tunzira, the li at the beginning is a form of ligay, which is one of those words that make the present tense light, and it means so that. And then tunzira is a present tense fi'l in the light form because there's a fatha at the end. The normal present tense fi'l is actually tunziru, which means you warn. But we have a note here that the li in this example cannot be the harf of jar li, as the harf of jar never comes before a fi'l, only an ism. So it is never connected. The harf of jar lam, or any harf of jar for that matter, is never connected to a fi'l. It's only ever connected to an ism. So when we look at this example, we automatically know that li cannot be the harf of jar because the tunziru or tunzira is a fi'l, and harf of jar can never attach to a fi'l. So that li has to be the ligay, because there's three versions. It can be ligay, it can be gay, or it can be li. It has to be that one, which means so that, and it makes the present tense light. That's why tunziru has become tunzira. Move on to the lightest version chart. So these are the words that when they're in front of a present tense fi'l, they make the present tense into the lightest version, which is called the majzoom version. So the lightest words, the first one is in, which means if, and this is also used in the conditional statements, meaning if this, then that. The next word is lam, which means did not. Now it gives a past tense meaning even though it connects with the present tense fi'l. So did not means even though it connects with the present tense, it gives a past tense meaning. Lamma means not yet. So this word also means when, but in this case it is not the version which makes the present tense light in the lightest form. Wal means and should, fal means then should, and li means should. And we notice that this is another li. So in the light version there was li gay, and li, and this is li as well. That li, the light version, means so that, but the lightest version means the li means should. So this is another li. But again, we can differentiate between them through context and by observing the changes that occur to the present tense. So if we see a change that is light, then we know that li is the light version, which means so that. But whereas if we see the fi'l, the present tense fi'l changing to the lightest version, then we know that li is this one, which means should. So the rules for making the present tense in the lightest form, the end letter, so if there is no ending combination, the end letter, the last letter, the harakat on the present tense takes a sukoon. So in the light version, if you remember, the end letter takes a fatha. But in the lightest version, the end letter, the harakat becomes a sukoon. But if the end letter is an ending combination with a noon on it, it is removed and nothing else is done. So the ending combination, just as a reminder, is the alif noon, the ya noon, the ya noon with a kasra, the ya noon with a fatha, and the wa noon. And these are the four ending combinations you get. If you remember the present tense chart, if you go through it, you can see these are the four different ending combinations that you add at the end of the fi'l in the different forms of the present tense. And just like the light version, the hunna and the antunna versions are unchanged. So even if it has a word that makes the present tense in the lightest version, the hunna and the antunna versions do not change, they remain the same. So here we have both. So this table includes the original version, so the normal version, it includes the light version, and it includes the lightest version, so that you can see clearly the differences between the three more easily. So, and we have the independent pronouns as per usual, the huwa, the huma, the hum, the hiya, the huma, hunna onwards. So the normal version is yafalu. Then the light version, like we said, the last harakat becomes a fatha. But the lightest version, we said, if there's no ending combination with the noon, then the last harakat, which is the last letter, the harakat on the last third root letter, which is the lam. Because remember, the first root letter is the fa, the second root letter is the ain, and the third root letter is the lam. So the last root letter takes a dhamma in the lightest form, so it'd be yaf'al. And the meaning again stays the same. He is doing. It's is because we're talking present tense, so he is doing. So the meaning doesn't change. Only the way it looks changes. So in the huma version, we have an ending combination, the alif and the noon, in the normal version. And then the light version, all we do is take the noon off, so it becomes yaf'ala. And the lightest version is the same. You just take the noon off and it becomes yaf'ala. So they're both the same. The light and the lightest version are the same. And again, we look at context, we look at meaning to understand, to differentiate which one it is, whether it's the light version or the lightest. And then for hum, the original, the normal version, the marfu version is yaf'aluna, because it's an ending combination wa and the noon. So the light version, we just take the noon off, so it becomes yaf'alu. And in the lightest version, we do the same, we just take the noon off, so it becomes yaf'alu. In the hiya version, the normal version is tafalu. The light, remember, the sukoon at the end, the dhamma at the end, the tafalu, the dhamma at the end takes a fatha, so the light version is tafala. And the lightest version, the dhamma becomes a sukoon, so it becomes taf'al. The huma version, the original normal version is tafalani. So it's an ending combination. We can see that there's an alif and the noon at the end that's been added to the three root letters, the fa, the ain and the lam. And yes, there's a ta at the start that's been added, but we are only concerned with the ending combination. So alif noon, so we just take the noon off, so it becomes tafala. And the lightest version, we do the same, we take the noon off, so it becomes tafala. So both of them are the same. And in the hunna version, the normal version is yaf'alna. And like we said, that even when there's a word that makes the present tense light or lightest, if it comes in front of a hunna version or antunna version, it doesn't affect it. So the normal version is yafalna, the light version is still yafalna, and the lightest version is still yafalna. So the anta, which means masculine you, so the normal version is tafalu. The light version, because there's no ending combination, the third root letter, the lam, the dhamma on that letter takes a fatha, so it becomes tafala. And the lightest version, if you remember, then the dhamma takes a sukoon, so it becomes taf'al. And then antuma tafalani, because it's an ending combination of alif noon. The light version, you just take the noon off, so it becomes taf'ala. And the lightest version, again from the original normal version, we just take the noon off, it becomes taf'ala. And the antum version, which means all of you, which includes men and women, a group of men and women. So the original, the normal version is tafaluna. The light version, because it's an ending combination of wa and noon, we just take the noon off to make it tafalu. And then the lightest version would be the same because of the wa and the noon ending combination of the normal version, the tafaluna. We just take the noon off to make tafalu. And then anti, which means you, feminine for woman. So the normal version is tafalina. Because there's an ending combination of ya and noon, to make it light, we just take the noon off, so it becomes taf'ali. And the lightest version is the same, the meaning that we will just take the noon off, the ending combination of ya and noon from the original normal version, the taf'alina, so it becomes taf'ali, the lightest version as well. And antuma, same as before, it's taf'alani is the original, because it's ending combination alif noon, we just take the noon off to make it light, makes it taf'ala. And similarly for the lightest version, we just take the noon off from the original, so it becomes taf'ala. And antunna, the original normal version is taf'alna, but if you remember, just like hunna, when in the light version or in the lightest version, there's no change. It remains the same. So the light version will still be taf'alna, which is exactly the same as the normal version. And the lightest version will also be taf'alna. It won't change in any case. And this is only for hunna and antunna. And then the ana, which means I, the original version is af'alu, the normal version. And then the light, because there's no ending combination, then the last letter dhamma just takes a fatha in the light version to become af'ala. And then in the lightest version, the dhamma at the end just takes a sukoon, so it becomes af'al. And the nahnu, which means we, so naf'alu is the original normal version, which is the marfu version. And then the light version, we just change the dhamma to a fatha, so it becomes naf'ala, which is the mansoob version. And the lightest, we take the original dhamma on the last letter, we turn it into a sukoon, becomes naf'al, and that's the majzoom version, the lightest version. And so in some cases, like I mentioned, the light and lightest versions appear the same, and then we can differentiate between the two using looking at the context. So just some examples. We have lam yaf'alhu, which means he did not do it. So the lam, which means did not, it makes the it creates yaf'al. So it takes the present tense and it makes it into the lightest version. And if you remember the lightest version, when there's no ending combination, then you just put the sukoon at the end, so it becomes yaf'al. The original version would be yaf'alu, and the light version, you just replace the dhamma on the last letter lam to a fatha, which would be yaf'ala. So we just note that lam gives a past tense meaning of did not, even though it's connected to a present or future tense fi'l. And here we have another, which is li yaf'alhu, which means he should do it. So the li is the lightest version li, which means should, and it makes the fi'l, the present tense fi'l, in the lightest version. That's why you see yaf'al, it's got a sukoon at the end because it's the lightest version. And just as a reminder, the original version is yaf'alu, and you remember that we're talking about present tense, but the original past tense is fa'ala, and then in order to make it into present tense, you add a ya at the start, and you make the last letter a dhamma, so it becomes yaf'alu. And in the light version, you just replace the dhamma on the last third root letter, the lam, with a fatha, so it becomes yaf'ala. And note that this li cannot be a harf of jar, because a harf of jar can only connect to an ism. It can never connect to a fi'l. So we automatically know when we see a li connected to a fi'l, it cannot be the harf of jar li, which means for. And the li in this example cannot be the light version, because remember there's li gay, and li gay can come in the form of gay, sorry. So li gay can come in the form of gay, or it can come in the form of li. But this is not the light version li, as this was cause the present tense fi'l to take the light version. So meaning instead of saying li yaf'al, it would be li yaf'ala. But because it's li yaf'al, we automatically know that this li is the one that creates the lightest version, not the light version. But when the harakat are missing, so in most Arabic books, when the harakat is missing, then we look at the context in order to determine which li it is. So whether it's the the light version li or the lightest version li. And as per usual, at the end of every chapter, we always advise to go over the vocabulary list chapter at the end of the book. Ideally, at the end of every session, this curriculum is studied, so that your Arabic grammar knowledge increases with your vocab knowledge, inshallah.